Hey there, Horse Center fans. Matt and I are back with another Kentucky Derby edition of Horse Center. What are we doing this week, Matt?
Hey, we are back 24 hours later. It is everybody's favorite show during Kentucky Derby week when Brian and I share some of our wagers that we are looking forward to most on Oaks Day and Derby Day.
Suggested wagers, how we're structuring the tickets. Write them down if you want to win, folks. Watch it all right here now on Horse Center. Welcome to another edition of Horse Center, everyone. I am Brian Zipsy, and as always, I have the excellent pleasure of being joined by my co-host to the East Coast. That's Matt Shipman. How are you today, Matt?
I'm good, Brian. With two shows back to back like this, I almost feel like we're hanging out together, getting ready to go to the Derby.
Wouldn't that be nice? Although I don't know if I could hang out a guy with popsicles on his shirt, but hey, I love it. I love it, Matt. That's a nice shirt. And it's a Kentucky Derby wagering show today, Matt. We're going to talk about our favorite wagers. Are you ready to roll?
I am ready to roll. And let me suggest to all you fans out there, Brett's going to be putting up graphics with all the names that are involved in each of our wagers. So if you want to, just hit the pause button during the show, take a screenshot, and then after the show's over, you can, at your leisure, write everything down and digest it a little bit more.
Matt, I'm glad you said pause. I was worried you were going to say mute because I've heard a few of our fans say they hit the mute button. No, I'm kidding. They would never do that to you, Matt Ship. Maybe to me, but not to you. Matt, I'm going to start our betting off on Friday because, folks, the Derby is a great race to hit. We all want to win the Kentucky Derby, but there are a lot of good races this week at Churchill Downs, especially Friday and Saturday. So I'm going to start on Friday. I'm going to start with a race I like quite a bit. It's race 10 on the card on Friday. It's the Ali Sheba, mile 16th for older males on the main track, Matt. And I tell you what, by my standards, McKinsey, they look like the two horses that should attract most of the betting. They probably deserve it. One's the defending champion. One has been a very consistent top older horse. But I'm going in a different direction. I think there's a lot of speed in here. I think Owendale likes to rally at middle distances. And I think the odds are going to be right. So I'm going to use Owendale in the Ali Sheba, Matt. That's going to start off a nice pick 3 for me, which will include the Ali Sheba, the La Troyenne, and the Kentucky Oaks. So here's my bet, folks. I'm gonna do a $5 pick 3. I'm gonna really try to get Owendale home, rallying down the middle of the lane in the Ali Sheba. In the La Troyenne, it's a strong single for me. I'm excited to see Monomoy Girl run, Matt, on Friday in the La Troyenne, her third start since her comeback, and she's been terrific, obviously, as she always has been. And then the Kentucky Oaks, I'm going to use my top 3, which are Speech, She Shares the Devil, my long shot, 20-1, and Gamine. I have to throw in Gamine in this wager. I fear her not using Swiss Skydiver, Matt.
Yeah, Brian, and that's a great ticket because you got a single in there, and as with all of these horizontal wagers, you're looking for a big price to come in that third leg in particular. You don't want Gamine to win. You're using her defensively, but Speech or She Shares the Devil would give you a nice payoff.
Right. I think I'm pretty sure Monomoy Girl's going to win the middle leg. I almost feel like that's a free square. You never know what's going to happen, but if I can get Owendale home, he's going to be no better than the third choice in here. He'll have some odds and then see what happens in the Oaks. I feel good about winning the Oaks with Speech, Gamine, and She Dares the Devil. So, folks, that's a $15 wager in the Ali Sheba, La Troyenne, Kentucky Oaks pick 3. One more bet for me, Matt, before we get you rolling is also on Friday. I'm going to look at another pick 3. Folks, I'm taking some shots here. Perhaps this one is less of a shot. It's only a 50-cent pick 3, but I want to have some action in these big races. It's the Kentucky Oaks Old Forester Turf Classic Kentucky Derby. So it's a 2-day pick 3. We're going to start the Kentucky Oaks off again with the 3 that I like in the Oaks: Speech, Gamine, She Dares the Devil. The Old Forester Turf Classic, Matt, which is the race before the Kentucky Derby on Saturday, I think is a wide open affair, sir. It's 10 horses. I really like several long shots in there, as much as the favorites, pretty much. So I'm going to hit the all button. There's 10 horses. I'm going to hit all of them. I really think there's a good chance a price will prevail in the Old Forester Turf Classic. Then I'm going to go with my two favorites, course, in the Kentucky Derby. This is a pretty small pick three. It's 50-cent pick three. Three horses in the Oaks, Speech, Gamine, and She Dares the Devil. All 10 of them in the Old Forester. And then Tis the Law, Honor AP, my top two Derby horses. That wager will cost you $30. And hopefully I'll be sitting on something nice Friday night as I'm sleeping, waiting for Derby Day on Saturday now.
Yeah, well, you've got two big fields in there. You mentioned in that turf race, and then, of course, in the Derby that help make those pick three possibilities that people are betting very high. And, of course, rooting for that big number in the Oaks.
In the Oaks or the Turf Classic on Saturday as well. So can't go wrong there. All right, Matt, it's time for you. People are waiting on pins and needles for your bets. Let's get to you. Let's start it off Saturday. I think we're going to go to the Distaff Turf Mile, Matt, which is race 11 on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm going to start out with a 50-cent pick four on the last four races of the day on Saturday, of course, ending up with the Derby. Brian felt really strongly. He talked about Monomoy Girl being a single. I feel really strongly about, in the first leg, singling Newspaper of Record for Chad Brown. She's come back this year, gangbusters, looking like she overcame her inability to be rated last year and really has settled into and is looking like a tremendous filly on the turf. So I'm going to start out that 50-cent pick four with a single of Newspaper of Record. And then I'm going to use 5 horses in the next 2 races. In the second leg, it's a 7 furlong sprint. I'm going to use Mia Mischief, Bell's the One, Sally's Curlin, Serengeti Empress, who's coming off of a huge performance at Saratoga. But as we've seen before, Serengeti Empress has not put 2 big races together in a row in quite a while, so maybe a little vulnerable in that race. And Bellafina, who was beaten by Serengeti Empress, may be able to turn the tables in there. As I mentioned before, I'm going to be hoping that it isn't Serengeti Empress that wins that race, but looking for a better price. I feel the same way about the next race, and Brian talked about how wide open this turf race is when he was explaining his pick 3 just before. I'm going to use 5 in this race. Factor this: Rock Emperor, who has been second in his last 2 starts, but those were in a couple of really salty fields. I think that horse is ready to break through. One that I think is going to be a good price, Mr. Dumas, and Sacred Cafe, along with some Like It Hot Brown. And then I'm going to end with the same 2 in the Derby as Brian, Tis the Law, and Honor AP. I think the chances are very likely that one of those 2 horses is going to hit in there. Obviously, Newspaper Record's going to be short price in there. So with any horizontal wager, I need to catch some bigger prices in there. You all know I'm a huge fan of Tis the Law, but in this kind of wager, if Honor AP ended up winning the race, that would give me a better price in the pick 4. Brian, I think you're going to do one of these late pick 4s also?
Yeah, Matt. Well, I think what you laid out there makes a lot of sense. I have a little different opinion on a horse or 2 on your list, but I do like the bet, and I do think Newspaper of Record is a horse that we can single, relatively safe in the Distaff Turf Mile. That's race 11 on Saturday. Newspaper of Record has, as you said, terrific 2-year-old filly. Things did not go her way last year. She's been a terrific 4-year-old filly, really, really good this year out in New York. And the good news, Matt, is we're getting rain here in Louisville for Newspaper Record, that is. We're getting rain here today, certainly. We're probably going to get a little bit more rain going into tomorrow. I think we will see a fast track, certainly Friday, a fast main track Friday and Saturday, but I think we're getting enough rain here during the week where it won't be a firm turf. And I think that's a key for Newspaper Record. I think she's a filly that really enjoys just a little bit of give to that ground. So a mile on the Churchill Downs turf course, I think, too, that she is a single in that first leg of this pick four we're talking about, Matt. I think Serengeti Empress is the one to beat. If you look at her three 7 furlong races, they've been absolutely terrific. So I think they're doing a wise thing, getting ready for the Breeders' Cup filly and mare sprint here, keeping her at 7 furlongs and away from the longer races. So I do think she's the one to beat, and I think she will prove best of the speed horses in here. The other one you didn't have on your list that I like quite a bit is CC, because there is speed in here for Serengeti Empress to deal with. And I think CC cutting back to 7 furlongs, coming back out away from California where she did so well before when she came out to Oaklawn Park, winning that nice apple blossom. But I think 7 furlongs with speed is going to be CC's cup of tea. So I think she's the one that has the best chance to upset Serengeti Empress. That's the Derby City Distaff race 12, leg 2 of the pick 4. So I'm going to use just the 2 of those. I go Newspaper of Record into Serengeti Empress and CC. Again, I'll use all in that wide open Old Forester. This time I'm going to throw in 3 in the Derby. Tis the Law, the horse to beat. Honore P, the horse I think that can beat him. And my top long shot, I want a chance to connect with New York Traffic just in case he actually pulls off the win in the Derby. So that's a 1 by 2 by 10 by 3 wager for me. 50 cents, just like you, Matt. Pick 4 will be $30. Matt, we're moving right along. Newspaper Record, Monomoy Girl, possible singles for these horizontal wagers we're talking about. Now we're going to move to the Old Forester. And again, I said it's wide open, but you have some opinions in there, and I want to hear what they are in race 13 on Derby Day.
My pleasure, Brian. And hey, folks, as I hope you're noting, none of these plays that we've given out are particularly big tickets, $15, $25, $30. These should all be within the budget of a lot of you horse players. I'm going to take a shot. And quite frankly, that's what a number of my wagers are about, trying to make a score here with the big fields in the Kentucky Derby. I'm going to do a couple of daily doubles. I know it is a contentious field. It is a wide open field in that Old Forester, but there's a couple of horses that I like coming down from New York in Rock Emperor and Mr. Dumas. I'm going to use them in daily doubles with the Kentucky Derby, with Tis the Law. I'm going to do Rock Emperor and Mr. Dumas with Tis the Law for a $20 double. And then I'm also going to use those 2 horses with Honor AP for a $10 double, putting more on Tis the Law because he's going to be a big favorite in there. But I'm taking a shot. Yes, I agree that it's a wide open race, but I like those 2. I'm going to do big double tickets with just a couple horses in each race. If I connect, $20 ticket, $10 ticket should return a decent amount of money.
Yeah, those should be good cashes, Matt, if you can get it, and you'll feel good if you could connect on one of those 2 in the Old Forester Turf Classic, because the double should be good. Even going to Tis the Law, you're not going to get a real low double, and Matt's taking a shot with $20 doubles and a couple $10 doubles. I like the thought. Old Forester Turf Classic, let's talk about that just a little bit more, Matt. It's a tough race. I mentioned that I like several long shots in here, and Mr. Dumas is one of them. He has a few nice wins over that Churchill Downs turf course. I remember last fall, I believe it was the Commonwealth Turf, where he had a nice win against a good field. It's a tough spot, but I think he likes this turf course, and a very live long shot in here. I do think factor this is the horse they all have to beat, and I guess he'll probably be the favorite, but he's won 4 in a row, and he's coming out of a 1.25 mile race, dropping back to a 1.1 mile here. He could win again, and I certainly want him on my tickets, but I certainly think he's a beatable favorite. I think Rock Emperor might be the second choice, and Matt, his form looks so good without having a win. That worries me a little bit in that maybe he just doesn't want to win. But on form alone, you have to like what Rock Emperor's done since coming to America. He's run against really good horses, so can't argue with your 2 in the double. But let's go to the big one, Matt. We're not going to give out every bet we're going to play. We don't even know every bet we're going to play. Some of these are last minute decisions, but you and I have both constructed tickets, favorite tickets that we know we'll bet for the Kentucky Derby. And are you going strictly win, play, show in this one, Matt, or what are you doing in the Derby?
No. In the Derby, I'm gonna take my usual shot in the trifecta. And that's exactly what I'm doing, folks. Here, I'm picking out a horse, and that horse is Major Fed, who is going to be a big price. But as you saw from the previous two Derby shows that Brian and I have done, I think that Major Fed is a horse that has a chance to sneak into the top three. And that's what I'm trying to do here. Sneak into the top three at 50-1 is going to create a good payoff. So I've got two $1 trifecta part wheels, and they're basically structured the same. The only difference is that in the first one, I'm going to use Major Fed in second place. And in the second ticket that I'm going to describe, I'm going to use Major Fed to finish third. So Brett's going to put them up on the screen, and they're going to be there. But of course, I'm going to begin both of these trifectas with Tis the Law and Honor AP. And then I am going to use Major Fed in second. And then I am going to put 8 horses in the third position. That includes Tis the Law and Honor AP, along with 6 others that I think I have a good chance of hitting the board. And those are Max Player, King Guillermo, Money Moves, Attachment Rate, NY Traffic, and South Bend. That's a $1 trifecta ticket. That's only going to cost $14. And yeah, okay, if Major Fed doesn't run, I'm okay with that. But if Major Fed runs and gets in second or third, I got a chance at a really nice payoff for a really small investment of $14. The other ticket is basically the same, except I will have Major Fed in the third position, Tis the Law and Honor AP on top, and those other 8 in the second spot. Brian, what do you got for the Derby?
Well, Matt, first let me talk about your strategy there with this particular wager in the Kentucky Derby. I think it's really a great strategy. Listen, I think Matt will probably lose this bet, and that's okay, folks. You're putting money out there, and especially with all these horses and all these good horses and all these good races, you're not going to win every bet. But if you can hit a big one, especially with a small investment like this, you only have to hit 1 out of 10 of those to have a nice day. And Matt's got a 50-1 shot or maybe 40-1 shot running either second or third. That's all that has to happen really for Matt to probably collect on this. He needs the winner, Tis the Law or Honor AP. But if he can get that long shot to run his race, be the one rallying up, get up for second or third, great chance to catch a trifecta. $28 in total in both spots, and it'll pay nice with a big long shot second or third. I am taking, in some ways, it might be a more conservative approach, but on other ways, it might be going for a bigger one as well. I'm actually going to try to hit the super in the Kentucky Derby, and let me explain that a little bit. I mean, this is something that the superfectas in the Kentucky Derby over the years usually are huge. This year, I just feel like what we know going into this year's Derby is a little bit more than usual. I think these horses, to some extent, there's still a lot of uncertainty here, but to some extent, there's just more knowledge about these horses than we've had in previous Derbies, and obviously that's because of the 4-month delay this year. So the fact that it's early September, I feel like I have a better handle of really who the horses are to beat and what's going to happen in here. So I feel like I have a decent shot to hit the superfecta. Just like Matt, there's a great chance that this ticket won't hit, but I think there's a pretty good chance, if I'm right about my horses, that I'm going to hit the superfecta. And if I can get a long shot in there somewhere, it's going to pay off. So without further ado, here's my superfecta ticket in the Kentucky Derby. It's a 50-cent superfecta part wheel. Just like Matt, I'm going to use two horses on top in this one. Tis the Law and Honor AP. The two horses, I expect one of them to win the Kentucky Derby on Saturday, folks. So I'm using those two on top. In the second spot, I'm just going to add one horse. It's my top long shot. You know who that is. That's New York Traffic. I think he's got a really good shot to run a big race on Saturday, 20-1 or so. If he can get second, it'll make the Superfecta instantly a pretty good ticket. I'm going to add one more horse for third. So I had Tis the Law, Honor AP in first, Tis the Law, Honor AP, New York Traffic in second. I'll have four horses for third. And again, I'm narrowing it down quite a bit, but I like who I like in this year's Derby, and that would be Tis the Law, Honor AP, New York Traffic, and Max Player, the horse I think most likely will come rallying for a piece. And then in the fourth spot, I'm just gonna let it rip a little bit and throw in a bunch of horses, because I do think that the rest of the field is pretty wide open after the horses I like best. That would include Matt's long shot, Major Fed. It would include the wild card, King Guillermo. South Bend, I think, has a good shot to rally in here. Money moves. I'm not sure what to think of him, but Pletcher has some confidence, and that Saratoga race might be better than it looks on paper. I finally decided to throw Enforceable in because he's such a consistent rallier. I think he could rally up for fourth in here. Attachment Rate, another horse who could kind of stick around and be fourth. And 1,000 Words, pretty much the same as 1,000 as Attachment Rate. I think he might be in the picture maybe the whole way around, stick around for fourth. I don't like any of those 8 horses I added in fourth as much as my top 4. So that's why I was able to go 2 horses, 3 horses, 4 horses, and then add 8 more for fourth. That whole ticket cost me $32. If I can get a long shot or 2 in there, I think it'll pay off. But like I said, I have a little more confidence in this bet, the Superfecta in the Kentucky Derby, than in years past, just because of the timing and how much we do know about these horses, Matt.
Yeah, and it is worth noting, of course, that Brian, you're putting a Superfecta out here because this is the first year that the Churchill Downs is offering Superfectas in 10-cent increments. Typically in the past, they haven't done that because with the big crowd at the racetrack, they've always been concerned about the betting lines getting clogged up with people making big, long Superfectas. So they had a high minimum wager. But you could do 10 cents there if you like Brian's bet, but you don't want to do $32 worth. He did it for 50 cents. You could dial it back to 10 cents in here. And again, you can do all of our wagers exactly as they are, or hey, you saw my trifecta, folks. If you like a different long shot instead of Major Fed, then swap it in and structure a ticket in a similar kind of way. But quite frankly, Brian, I'm probably just gonna do all 7 of our bets, your bets and my bets, just the way they are, because I respect your opinion more than anybody else's. So, hey, not a lot of money and a lot of different possibilities out there.
Well, thanks, Matt. I appreciate that. And yeah, I feel good about our bets. I feel good about all 7 bets. I like your suggested wagers too, in 3 different races. I have, I guess, 4 different possibilities there. Neither of us spent a ton of money on these suggested wagers for you folks. You could put more or less on a lot of these bets. And I think Matt and I are both between $100 and $200 total for all of our bets combined. So you can make all 7 of our wagers here for $300. I didn't add it all up, Matt, but in the $300 range at the most. So it is a shot. That's not saying yes there over in New Jersey. It is a shot, and there's a few in here that if it's all favorites, it won't be a big winner, but maybe you get your money back, maybe a little bit more. But we have enough odds horses in there where you could hit something really nice. Matt, I think it's going to be a great 2 days at Churchill Downs. The country is a little bit crazy right now with everything going on, whether it be COVID or the protests that are happening here in Louisville as well as around the country. I guess we're, horse racing starved a little bit as far as being out at the track, but seeing all these good races and seeing the Kentucky Derby, whether it be 4 months later or not, is just a special weekend that we look forward to all year. I'm excited to watch the great horses. I'm excited to root for the great horses. And of course, as you can tell, I'm excited to bet on the great horses, Matt. Can I get a parting shot from you on this, our Kentucky Derby wagering show, sir?
Yeah, I agree. This is, Kentucky Derby weekend. That's, for many is the biggest weekend of horse racing of the year, with the Kentucky Derby, the most famous race in our country. So enjoy that for sure. Folks, if you have any questions about the wagers that we've suggested, or what you're thinking about doing, you can pop a question in the comments, either on YouTube or at Horse Racing Nation. Brian and I will be checking in and out of there over the next couple days, and I wish you all good luck with your wagers, and Brian, you and I with our wagers. And of course, I want to thank Brett for putting together the show again on back-to-back days.
Yeah, thanks to Brett, and I know Brett will be betting on this Kentucky Derby too. He likes to do that as well, Matt. Thanks to all of you watching. And again, once again, I think Matt already said it. I might be able to, I might say it in a slightly different way, but whether you bet our bets or whether you take our bets as an example and maybe kind of plug in some other horses that you like a little better with some of our structure thoughts in here, we wish you nothing but the best. Matt and I want to win, but we also want to hear about lots of big cashes from our HorseCenter viewers out there. If you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel here on Horse Racing Nation, please do so. Thanks to our sponsor, the best contest site out there, Derby Wars. Matt and I will be back next week with a whole lot to talk about from what happens this week. We'll see you then right here on HorseCenter.